Since 1971, Oliver & Son has been landscaping the gardens and homes of Bainbridge Island and has become one of the highest regarded landscape companies on the island. Skilled in the design of many classic-styled gardens, such as English and European, Oliver & Son excel in a style that is all their own.
Our speciality now, as it's developed over the years, has become kind of a blending of the native Northwest natural landscape look with more of a naturalistic Japanese style of landscaping.
Hanging out on the job site over the years, Ollie's son Adam naturally followed in his father's footsteps, and now, as partners, the two of them create a dynamic team.
His perspective many times is different than mine, and we tend to work beautifully together. We tend to advance and improve on each other's thought process, and we kind of ladder each other up.
A full-service landscape company, their creations span the gamut, from the simple to the sublime. The quality and professionalism of each and every project guaranteed.
One of the things that does separate us out from virtually everyone else is that we very, very rarely subcontract any work out. We do all of our own work from beginning to end, from drainage to irrigation to stonework, including the setting of very large hand-picked landscape stone.
Whilst most projects are created at one time, Oliver & Son are used to working with their clients over time on larger, more costly projects.
Many times in our occupation we come across people that don't have the funds to create an entire landscape for their entire piece of property. So we offer them the ability to phase in any scale of landscape job, whether it's just the front yard or maybe just a piece, maybe one bed at a time. We can come in and on a monthly basis, yearly basis, it doesn't matter, finish each piece as we go along.
In 2008, Rick and Lisa Skelton contracted Oliver & Son to design, create and maintain the landscaping on their Eagle Harbour waterfront home. After the owners had discovered significant drainage and settlement problems with their home, a remodel was undertaken. Once the home had been stabilised, Oliver & Son were then brought in to address the drainage issues and design a system to alleviate further water problems. The pre-existing gardens were totally removed and a completely new design put in place. This consisted of patios, walkways, raised beds, stonework, irrigation systems and plantings. Started in the summer of 2009, Phase 2 addressed two adjoining areas, the inner and outer courtyards.
We're very meticulous when it comes to drainage systems, to irrigation systems, to the foundation in which we will build on for your landscape.
Drainage in the inner courtyard was a major challenge and was overcome by excavating the area and installing drainage ditches that tied into the drainage system previously installed in Phase 1.
It's very critical that everything that's under the ground functions perfectly in harmony with everything that's growing above the ground.
The homeowners expressed a desire for a Japanese-style garden and placed their full trust and confidence in Adam and Oliver, knowing that this was an area of particular expertise for them.
I'd say over the last 15 to 20 years, probably 99% of our customers have given us a full creative canvas to just come into their properties and slowly develop them, knowing that we might see new things as the project is progressing that we could incorporate into the project that would improve it greatly over even a preconceived idea that we originally had or that we originally mapped out in a master plan.
The process of design and creation for Oliver & Son is more akin to the creative process of oil painting than standard construction.
You never want a single focal point within your landscape canvas. We landscape not so that everyone can see directly everything that we've done, everything that we've created right away, but we landscape in a way that you have to walk around those little hidden corners.
Beginning with the essential drainage design, Adam and Oliver started the creative process by building a dry waterfall and stream bed as the central focal point for the garden, but also acts as a collection and distribution system for the garden's water management. With a hand-cut blue sandstone patio adding to the stone placements, the design for the wooden bridge helped soften the overall texture and introduce a contrasting natural element, which also provided a dramatic, colourful focal point. The creative process is inspired and guided by an unspoken dialogue between the artist and the developing landscape.
Throughout the project, the design is constantly changing, up to the very last tree, the very last bush, the very last ground cover that we plant. To design and then be unwilling to change is the biggest mistake in our minds that a landscaper could make. There are always the possibilities to create something so much more unique than you originally conceptualized.
The finishing brushstrokes that define the garden are the placements of the plantings. More than anything, the selection and placement of plants defines the current and future character of the garden.
90% of the time that we spend is going to be on customers' infrastructure. It'll look like a war zone. And then the last few weeks, things will start to take shape. Rocks have been placed, patios have been set, aggregate has been poured, the infrastructure, the form, the base is there, and now what you need is the color. And in the last few days of the project is when all the plant material comes in. It's the quickest part, and yet some of the most important, if not the most important part of the entire project.
The smallest elements within the layout are just as important as the largest. With their bright colours and different textures, ground covers and shrubs act as magnets for the eyes and direct the viewer's attention to the garden highlights and promote a sense of harmony. Seasonal blooms, textures and colours all contribute to the grand design, ultimately culminating in a garden that is pleasing to look at all year round.
All through the spring and into the summer, you get a change of color, constant turnover of color. And we're talking ground cover. And it's worked out really nicely.
And the same thing works with the shrubs he's put in. We've had wave after wave of color, starting as early back as late March and early April. Shrubs are timed so that they come into color.
If there is one project that exemplifies the creativity and design mastery that is Oliver & Son, the garden created for Ralph Spillinger and Rob Jacques would rank high on the list. The clients asked for a design that would encompass a native northwest feel with elements of the rainforest woven in.
I wanted something different here, and I told him what I really had in mind was more of a rainforest kind of a feel, gentle falling water. And Adam then took it from there and came up with the entire concept of the root, did the entire foundation work. That's all his creation. And it just comes together perfectly. It really does, in scale, and the end result is exactly what I had in mind.
Massive stone placements and radius aggregate steps, a cut stone patio and unique cedar root water feature combined to create just the sense of serenity the clients hoped for.
He's able, over a course of a couple of days, maybe a week, come up with a concept that is really beautiful, really gorgeous, and is able to sell it. He's able to tell us, this is what it's going to look like, because he's got the imagination to be able to do it. In spite of the fact when we look at it, it's a pile of asphalt and dirt. But he sees its potential, and I think he really saw it in this particular case.
There's a lot more to this than maybe meets the eye directly. You have a fairly large amount of exposed aggregate driveway that was put into the new garage here. Then you've got all the flagstone down here, and then you've got the electrical and plumbing demands of the water feature, and Ollie does it all. I mean, he doesn't just plant plants. He can do the entire job with his own resources, and that makes a big difference.
We also told them that we had a budget that we planned on, didn't want to exceed, and Ollie brought it in, even though we thought he was going to really exceed it. He brought it in on budget.
The addition to any garden of a water feature introduces new elements of motion and sound.
The sound that you're listening to, believe it or not, varies with how it strikes those rocks. And so he was moving the rocks as if he were tuning a musical instrument, and it all mixes together into a kind of a symphony.
Landscaping your home is a major undertaking and financial commitment. Finding the right landscapers who you feel comfortable working with is vitally important in ensuring that you get the garden of your dreams.
You wouldn't just have anyone build your dream home, and it's very, very similar when it comes to landscaping. You don't want to hire just anybody to create your dreamscape.
A garden is more than a sum of its parts. It is at heart a refuge from the outside world, a place to come home and relax in.
There's a certain balance, there's a certain comfort when walking into one of our gardens. Your mind is immediately put at ease. A feng shui, if you will, a sense of peace, a garden that you could meditate in.
Oliver and Adam approach each garden as a new challenge, a new blank canvas on which to create. Building upon their years of experience, they strive with each new project to come closer to creating Shangri-La.
You know, one of the lessons that my father taught to me that was passed down to him by his mentors, Happy Nishi and Tatsukuma, was that you landscape from your heart, not from your mind.